Hello, 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 and welcome to You, Me, and the Trinity's Christ Connections and Conversations. Tonight, we're gonna Jay throw me off every time. I be trying to be serious. He gets on my nerves. You know me, you know Kim, you know Coach Jay, but you may or may not know the Reverend Adam China. Reverend,
The the reverend
the
The
Reverend, the
the
Reverend Adam China.
with a T.
Please
it's so
greet us in
easy.
your own way, sir.
Good evening. Again, I'm Adam. I'm so glad to be a part of this podcast and this discussion, and I thank you guys so much for including me. And hello to everyone who's watching. Just excited about the conversation tonight.
Thank you, thank you.
So, yeah, so Sissy, Coach J, y'all want to say hey to the people? My southern coming out.
Hey people.
Hey, people.
What up, though, people? What it do? What it? Oh, I'm sorry. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this. I don't know what to say now. I can't say what up though, like we say in the D. Kim, oh, I forgot
I
Kim been
know,
gone too
I
long. She
know
might
what
not
this
remember.
is.
Kim,
What up,
Kim might
dog?
not know. Kim might not remember what up though is. She been gone for so long.
That's
It's
all right.
ancient history
It's
to
in
us.
here.
But
It's deep down in my shanda. Way tucked in my shanda.
yes, it
Oh,
is. Come
y'all.
on. What? Hey,
Hi, Shanda.
Well,
what's up, Mr. Williams?
Hey,
What's up?
birthday boy. Hey, birthday man. We can call you birthday boy. Hey, birthday
birthday
man.
man, look, birthday man.
I wasn't gonna say nothing,
Oh,
but
my
hey, go
mom
ahead,
said
do
you
your
gotta
thing.
act accordingly. Hi,
So your mama.
mom.
Hey, hold on. May the Lord watch. Wow.
But anyway,
Let's
the
go, because we're
way
going to fly
I
all
don't
Oh,
day.
go
like
ahead.
to,
Go ahead.
right, the way I don't like. So tonight, we're touching on something that could be a little touchy, a little heated, a little heavy, a little weighted. I do, I did, I don't. Repeat. Life before, during, and after divorce. So, ooh, who wanna go first? Like other Kim, other Kim.
I gotta go
What you
first.
got?
I was gonna let our guest go first, but you put you put the other rev
Mm,
up on the spotlight. So go ahead, Elder.
Okay, I guess what? I guess how we can jump off in this thing, because I'm assuming that we've all been married and divorced. We all did. We didn't, and we don't. I mean, we might want to now, but then we didn't want to do it. Them people don't know. I guess we should give a little bit of background, personal background about our past as somebody else's spouse. Um, I have been married twice. My first marriage ended in divorce. The second one, he passed away. I got married when I was 25 years old. Um, I could shift a whole lot of blame. I could go down the list and tell y'all why we're not together anymore and why it didn't work. But when I think back over it, neither one of us were ready. I got married because I had already had three children, and I heard so much. Ain't nobody gonna want you with all these babies. No matter really how he treats you for real, if he taking care of home and halfway decent, y'all need to just go ahead and get married. And in my mind, somewhere that kind of became a thing, and I started to believe that. And so I settled. I hate to say it, but that's my truth. I settled on who was there because I was told so much that this was probably gonna be my fate. So I should just suck it up, accept it, and keep it moving. So that's a little bit of my marriage past. I am single currently. Like I said, my previous husband passed away a few years ago, and I am now back in these single streets. That's my truth.
so Jay, Prophet's heart disappeared. Adam, brother Adam,
Okay. Well,
share a
yeah, I'm
little bit.
divorced also. Was married for 16 years and have two sons. Um, I can't say that the marriage was, a total disaster because I got two wonderful sons that I wouldn't trade for the world. But at the end of the day, um, we just were not compatible. And I can't say, of course, I made mistakes. She made mistakes, and it just was not there. So, um, one of the things I've learned over time is that every divorce doesn't happen because somebody messed up. Sometimes you just aren't compatible. That's just it, and that's really what happened with my marriage. We just were not compatible, and that's just it. And I don't care how hard you try, if you're not compatible, it's just not. You're not going to be happy. And they can be a nice person, you can be a good person, but if you're not compatible, it just it's not gonna. Even if you stay together, you're gonna be miserable. And if nothing else, I've learned life is way too short to be miserable, especially with somebody you're in the same house with. And I didn't want to be miserable, and I didn't want to make somebody miserable. So yeah, that's my story.
Can I ask you how long it? When did you realize you guys were not compatible? At what mark in the marriage?
Um, in a lot of ways, early on for me, now that's my story, of course, early on, but you kind of feel like okay, you're going to grow and it's going to get better, and you'll learn each other, and it'll be fine. And it just wasn't. And again, that's not to say that she's a bad person, and I don't think I'm a bad person, but we just were not compatible. But you stick it out, number one, because again, number one, I've been pastoring in the ministry almost 22 years, and for me, part of it was sticking it out for the church, which was a big mistake, because we look great in front of people, but when you got to the house, it was another story. And again, it wasn't like I was totally miserable the whole time. I mean, of my marriage, but at the same time, you knew that just wasn't something just wasn't there. Kind of like trying to put a square in a hole for a circle. It wasn't fitting. And so I knew relatively early on, but I thought, okay, we can work through it and it'll get better. And even in a great marriage, you're gonna have to work through some stuff. I mean, that's just life. So I thought, okay, it's gonna be fine. And then eventually, you just learn one day that she is who she is. I am who I am. And I don't care. I don't know if either of us could have changed enough to make it work or be happy. And if we did change enough, then we would be miserable with ourselves. And I didn't want to lose myself. And I really didn't want her to lose herself. So uh, I realized it early, but the last maybe 2.5, 3 years, it was obvious. Like this is not the way it's supposed to be. So I knew something was off early on, but it was really the last 2.5, 3 years that I was like, okay, yeah, this is a sinking ship. And I tried to stay, and I'm sure she did too for our sons. And then one day I realized I'd rather my sons see us separated or divorced than to see us living in the same house where we were. And we weren't. I mean, because I want them to grow up and be good husbands and fathers. And the way we were living, their mother and I was not the way a husband and wife should be. So I figured it was better for them not to see it at all than to see it the way it was. So I saw it early on. I accepted it the last couple of years, I guess is what I should say.
Okay. Understand. Coach E?
First off, I want to say thank you for your transparency, Adam. We appreciate that. For me, I have been married twice. Both of those marriages ended in divorce. The first time I was probably, like 25, young and dumb. Young and super naive. And you hear that love, because honestly, I saw the red flags in the beginning. But you know how you just figure love conquers all, and I was like, I can pray us through anything, and we just gonna make it, and because I love God and I'm gonna pray, and we just gonna but you have to also take into account someone else's free will,
Mm.
someone else's want and desire to do right by you. So I that situation, I will say that that was totally self-inflicted hurt, because I ignored wise counsel because I was trying to be free and be an adult. I was like, I'm just gonna make my own decisions and blah blah blah, and we'll be okay. So round number two, I had wrote out a list of God. I had prayed on the list, and some of the things I was like, okay, well, this might be me being a little superficial, so I rolled with it. Um, that marriage failed for a lot of reasons. One of the major reasons was a total breakdown in communication and communication styles. We were not compatible. When I would express myself, it was always taken as an attack instead of the other person trying to really hear my heart. So, and I realized early on that it wasn't going to work, and I tried to get out, but the other party didn't want to let me out. So that was actually quite a struggle, because of our major clash in communication styles, and it wasn't all bad. Neither one of them was all bad, because we have to think, if it was all bad, we would have never been there anyway. But it was rough. But I learned a great deal about myself in the process, especially processing out of that second one. I learned a lot about me. So Jay Hart, it's on you. We talking about our personal situations and kind of what led to the divorce.
We can't hear you.
You're on mute.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, I've been married twice. I got married very young. I got married at 23. Coming from a Kojic background, it was like, well, if you got her pregnant, you better marry her because you got to make her an honest woman. Like, am I really making her an honest woman by marrying her? But okay. We got married. Matter of fact, it'll be our anniversary coming up soon. But would have been our anniversary coming up soon. The baby was miscarried, and once she had a miscarriage of the baby, the whole marriage just went down in flames. Uh, there was no connect. I'm not gonna say there was not connection. We were good friends and stuff, but we just wasn't ready. We were young and naive to what marriage really was, and we did not seek counsel. We had foolish counsel.
Mm.
Um, we had that when we got some good counseling, it was kind of too late.
Hmm.
Uh, I ended that one because I was just like, we are arguing and beefing over some crazy stuff, and you just keep doing it thinking it's cool and it's not. So I did dissolve that one after 6 years. We are actually cool now because we were cool before, you know. We see each other in passing or whatever. It's always, hey, how are you? How are the kids? All that good stuff. My second marriage, I went in falsely. I lied to myself and everybody else, pretending that I was ready to marry her. An amazing woman. I take nothing away from her. Matter of fact, her birthday was on this past week. I texted her, said, "Hey, Queen, happy birthday. I hope all is well. Enjoy your great day." She said, "I appreciate you." Um, I was not ready mentally, emotionally, um, and I knew that going in. But I wanted to prove to other people around me that I could have a successful marriage. And when you go in trying to prove other people wrong, you're already in a losing battle. Uh, I damaged a perfectly amazing woman.
Mm.
And when I did it, I turned around and I can't tell you how many times I apologized, whether it's written, text, emails, whatever. Um, but I knew that it was better for her to be with somebody who genuinely loved her than to stick around and try to pretend like going to marriage counseling was going to fix what was going on, because it wasn't a us thing, it was a me thing. So
Mm.
if anybody needed to be fixed or counseled, it was me. But it wasn't that I was in denial. It was like, if I go to counseling and I still don't want to, then what? So I just said, you know what? Let me go ahead and do me. I'm going to release you to be loved correctly, because I know I can't do it, because I don't even know how to love me. She took it real hard. The family took it hard. Yeah, I got dog, but in the end, I still would have done the same thing had I had a chance to do it all over. I would have done the same thing and let her go.
So, do you think, whether it comes from church, rearing, the culture, that we as a society have unrealistic expectations of marriage, and that is part of what leads to divorce? Yes, no,
I say
maybe, and why?
yes. I say yes.
No,
Go ahead, Reverend China.
no.
Why do you say yes?
What's that? Just Adam, please. I'm
Okay, Adam. All right, Adam. Why do you say no? I mean, yes.
I say yes from this standpoint. A lot of times in this society and culture in general, when we talk about marriage, we don't have a realistic view of marriage. We link what we see. We look at the movies and the love stories or the TV shows, and we see that, and they show you the fun stuff, and we think that that's what it's supposed to be all day, every day, and it's really not. One of my brothers, he was the first one to get married, and he, after being married, I guess a couple of months, I asked him, I said, "Well, how is married life?" And he said, "You know what?" He said, "I love it." He said, "But I had to learn that my wife doesn't love me the same every day." And I kind of looked at him like, I know her, and she's my sister. I mean, that's his wife, and that's my brother, but she that's my sister. You know, we are tight. And I'm like, she loves you. She adores you. He said, "Yeah, I know." He said, "I don't question that she loves me," but he said, "Some days she can eat me up, other days she can spit me out, and I have to learn to deal with that and understand. You can't take it personal, knowing every day is not going to be cuddles and smooching and fun. Some days she don't want to be bothered, and he said, some days I don't want to be bothered." You know, and it's not that we don't love each other. It's just that, you know, you have other things going on. So in many cases, the reason I say it's unrealistic is because they think, you know, we portray marriage sometimes as just a beautiful, you know, every day is just perfect, and it's not. And even the best marriages have struggles and hard times, and we don't talk enough about that. And I think that's, if you go in and even my own marriage, even when I was married and even since being divorced, it has helped me so much when I do premarital counseling, because now I know, you know, without a doubt, you know, this is what you can expect, and you can maneuver through it, you know, if you all are bonded. But just, I don't want you to go in, and I don't allow anybody to go in thinking that you can change this person, because they can't. You can't. And there are some who, as you, and I think many people see red flags and think, if I love them right, that'll change, and if I can pray it away, and you can't.
Okay.
And I share all the time that marriage is just like buying a used car. It's an as-is sale. Okay, when you got it, it's yours. Whatever's wrong, you got to fix it. You know,
That's a great analogy.
I am taking that. I just want to let you know I am taking that. I promise you I am. You about to get a used car deal, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, but really think about. I mean, but a lot of people, they go in thinking, okay, this is going to change, that's going to change, everything's going to be perfect, and it's not. It's not. So I think, you know, and the church, in many times, and I'm going on couples that we see in church many times. We see brother and sister so and so. We see Reverend and First Lady so and so, or Pastor First Lady, and we see them and they look like they got it all together, and don't think for a minute that they don't, because some days they can't stand each other, and they don't want to leave their marriage. They're happy, but we don't see the, you know, the backside of marriage, if you will. We just see, and we've idolized what we see on television, and that's just not realistic. So I think, you know, at least when I talk to people, I always let them know, whether I'm marrying them or whatever the case may be, just know when you go in, you know why you're marrying them, and know that it's more than just love. Love is essential, but love is not all. Because some days you might always love them, but you're not gonna always be in love with them every day.
That's good.
I agree. I think that we are, I don't want to say bamboozled, but I think that when culturally, and like Adam said, like television shows or whatever, it gave us an unrealistic idea of what we thought marriage was supposed to be. I don't know about y'all, but my mind instantly goes to Claire and Cliff. Like they were the epitome of marriage for me. Like I just knew that that's how life was supposed to be. You know, he doing his thing, got a good career, she got a good career. We raising these babies and we doing everything together. How often did you really even see Claire and Cliff argue? And if they did have an argument, it was squashed before the episode ended. You seen it one time?
I'm just saying, you ain't never seen Good Times? Shoot, Florida and James always are.
That was a different dynamic of marriage. Right. Even with Florida and James, though, they had financial struggles, but still the way that they kind of communicated and carried one another, it still didn't make me think like marriage was, I hate to say horrible, or marriage could be horrible. It was just like, okay, they had a disagreement, but before the episode was over, they figured it out. And the next episode came on, they was in love again. So that's just what I thought. Okay, yeah, you're not going to always agree, but you're always supposed to be able to come back. But sometimes that's just not reality. That wasn't my reality. So, yeah, for me, I definitely say that the culture and, television or whatever gave us this preconceived notion of what marriage was supposed to be like, but it was false. It wasn't true.
Jay, you had a difference of opinion, right?
Yeah, I do. I mean, as I look at marriages through, like Adam said, in the movies and the TVs and stuff, and I looked at the marriages around me, I had to put two and two together. I've seen pastors and first ladies argue before they came in the church building. I've seen husbands and wives in praise and worship rehearsal arguing during praise and worship rehearsal. So when I looked at marriage, I'm like, everything ain't gonna be roses because it's two different people trying to come together. But when it's God ordained and you really love each other, y'all can begin to work through y'all situations. If iron sharpens iron, I need to know that my wife got my back no matter what, and she's going to be able to say stuff to me that's going to hurt, but it's for the benefit of not just me personally, but for us together as a society. Like Adam said, he said, hey, I referenced marriage to a used car. I heard a song in a barbershop this weekend, and it reminded me of something else that marriage is like. It's the old dramatic song, what you see is what you get. It ain't gonna change until God sees fit. Until God says, hey, you need to change, and you decide to change. If we allow society and or social media to paint a picture for us and we believe it, hey man, okay, yeah, next person. Because I was gonna say something that's probably harsh because it's like
I think we know now. We get it now, but our younger selves
we didn't get that.
Yeah, we didn't get that. We had to actually live through some things. Like I can even say, not even going to television, but within my household, my parents. I know they had spats and issues or whatever, but they did that behind closed doors. We weren't privy to that. We didn't see all that. We saw them being two adults going, but it was, my reality was different. As far as my personal marriage.
Right. So it's everybody's reality. That's what it is. It's everybody's different. Because I know you were on the east side, because on the west side, the other side of Woodward, Reverend Kim, it was some ducking and dodging and stabbing. Man, my uncle and auntie used to stab each other and then go lay in the bed next to each other. I was like, what the heck is wrong with y'all?
And they were already
going. And I seen hey, they be stabbing and fighting each other and then come back in the house. Man, you don't understand what I was trying to say. Now, you don't understand. Well, let me get the blood off your lip. You didn't duck when I had the knife in my hand, so I slit your eye. Let me go ahead and put some peroxide on that. But you know what I'm saying? So I saw different dynamics and stuff, man, when I was growing up and stuff. And then you had the church folks and you had the unsaved folks. My neighbors, man, the Clarks were a great example of husband and wife relationship and stuff. And then Miss Clark passed away, and I saw the hurt that it brought him. I'm like, man, y'all went through, and then they started talking. He started talking about the ups and downs of their marriage and stuff, and I was like, wow. He was like, that's why I used to go to my club every weekend to get away from her.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't know nothing about that. My parents been married over 40 years.
Blessed assurance.
And I didn't even know my parents disagreed about stuff until I probably got out of college. Yeah, little children trying to talk to me. So
I am.
she is gone. Did you hear her?
Hi. Hello, Phil.
But anyway, so yeah, so the reality that I saw played well over into what my expectations were, because I didn't even know, and you saw it I saw it on TV, and what I saw on TV really mirrored in my home life. So I know now as an adult that my parents don't always agree, but they sit, like as an adult now, I've sit and watched them talk out something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I didn't even know grown married people argue. It was like, they argue? Who argue? What's that? Arguing, disagreements. So
do you think that because you grew up in a household with your parents never really displaying like arguments or whatever in front of you, did you carry that into your marriage and thought that that's how it was supposed to be?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course I did. I can say that. Of course I did. But I realized, like, I want to talk about it. Let's talk about it. And but with that, I'm not an arguer either. I'm not gonna argue with you. We can talk about that thing. I'm not gonna argue with you. If I gotta argue with you, it disrupts my peace and my equilibrium, we're not gonna stay like that too long. Because after I argue with you, and I'm not one that says things out of heat and out of anger. People say stuff just because they mad. Because if I said that, I meant every word of that. I meant that deep down from my soul. So let's talk about it. We can talk about it. We can sit here. Let's have points of reference. But I'm not gonna argue with you. So going into a marriage where both of them like to argue, I went with that. Air word, everything from deep down in my sanctified soul. Because baby, if I'm gonna read you, I'm gonna lay it all out, and I meant all of that.
So at any point, because it seems like at some point we all had a breakdown in our marriages. Did anybody do counseling while they were married? I know we all probably did premarital counseling, but did anybody do counseling while you were married, like actual real counseling?
Yes.
Yeah, and she did nothing. She did nothing that he told her to do. Nothing at all. And he even asked her, well, why didn't you do what I was, and he just looked at me. I was like, you told her to do X, Y, and Z. She did none of what you said. Now ask her why she didn't.
Was she checked out already by that point, though? Like, by that point, had she fizzled out a fight? Like, was she done fighting?
The crazy thing is she didn't want the divorce. I did. I had fizzled out after we had went to counseling, and she decided to do nothing that our pastor told us to do. She did none of it. And when she decided she wanted to do it, mentally I was already gone.
So there's a time when it can be too late. Like it definitely can be too late. And with that, I'm gonna say this real quick, and it's really no slight, but I'm gonna take this going forward. If you don't have a degree in psychology or counseling or something, I just don't really want to be sitting down in front of you. And that's just that's just my thing, because while our pastors are equipped with a lot of things, some of them aren't equipped to handle relationship issues. And while I think they should serve as a confidant to those couples and maybe a buffer, a mediator at times, I really don't think they should be taking on all of that. Because you can't properly, if you don't have degrees in psychology and something in counseling, how do you properly diffuse that situation?
Yeah, it's a difference between giving advice and wise counsel versus like trying to, what's the word I want to say? Like, you can call me, I can give you some advice, but I'm not skilled. Like Ebony said, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I didn't go to school. I can only give you experience, while somebody else can give you experience coupled with knowledge and study time and all of those other things,
tools and resources.
Yeah. That's why I said, like, real counseling. Like, we probably all talk to our pastor. Not to say that they're not, not to take nothing away from them, but
Adam, what are you trying to say?
No, I was gonna say I agree with you 100%. Now, when I was in seminary, I did a lot of I took a lot of pastoral care and counseling classes. So I can do counseling, but there have been issues that have come to me from members that was too much for me, and I had to say, let me refer you to someone who is better equipped to handle that than I am. Some things were a little too deep, or it was just too many twists and turns. And even though, again, I took several classes in pastoral care, there are some things that I have to say, you have to get over your own ego and say, let me refer you to someone. Now, for me personally, I went through, we went through counseling several times throughout the marriage. And again, it just was not there. And one of the things that I've learned, and even when I counsel people now, and I learned this from someone, when one of the counselors we were seeing, he asked a question, and I start off anytime couples come to me with issues, married couples, the first question I ask them is, do you want to save this? Do you want to save it? Because if you don't want to, then there's nothing I can do or anybody else can do for you. And I mean, both couples have to know we want to try to fix this, or I'm not sure if it can be fixed, but I at least want to give it a try. But if you come in there and you already don't, then you have a problem. And I kind of grew up like you, Ebony. My parents, rarely did we see them, argue. Sometimes you could tell there was a little tension, but that wasn't often. That didn't mean they didn't argue. They just didn't do it in front of us.
Yes.
But and that's one of the things that made my own divorce so difficult, because I grew up. My parents been married 48 years, or just about somewhere around there. So I grew up seeing them. I mean, even to this day, they still hold hands when they go places and come in the house and kiss each other. It makes me sick.
My daddy be serenading my mom.
My dad
like
I'm does all that stuff too, and
like, ugh.
Like cut that out. As far as I'm concerned, I got here the same way Jesus did. When my mother was a virgin and the Holy Spirit touched her, and that's me and all my brothers. That's how we're here.
Touch me.
But whatever the case, when I saw, like, when my marriage was crumbling, it was like, I had a good model.
Blueprint.
What's my problem? And my parents, I mean, God had to put them together. They literally met, and 3.5 weeks later got engaged.
Oh wow!
And a year later got married. Well, no, exactly 1 year later 10 months later they got married. And here they are still.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I dated somebody and it didn't happen. Yeah, and meanwhile, I dated a couple years, and it failed. So I'm wondering, like, I mean, why was it me? And that was something I had to get over. Was the embarrassment, and I don't know about anybody else, but for me, it was shame and embarrassment.
Yes,
and especially for me being a leader of a church, and I'd married many couples, had done premarital counseling, had even helped other couples salvage their marriage, and I couldn't salvage my own. And that was
Yeah.
a lot of shame and embarrassment that I carried for a long time. And I just had to, eventually learn to let myself go and learn from it and move on. So I've learned that just because your parents had a successful marriage doesn't mean yours will be. And just because theirs didn't work doesn't mean yours won't. It's all case by case.
There's a comment I pulled up, but I'll just read it now. Sister Katrina says, I grew up with two parents. I saw good and bad times. I saw sketchy relationships, and I knew enough stories of terrible relationships. But I believed in the Disney fairy tales and the romance of the novels. I believed it would be different from me because I was doing things right. And when I wasn't doing things right, I felt guilty, tainted, and didn't believe I deserved better. And so Sister Victoria said, yes, shame and embarrassment. So I think because of what we're fed, we take on, I know especially I took on a lot of shame because I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done this anyway. Everybody was trying to stop me. And then the second time I was like, oh my God, this is number two. Now I've got these two babies. What am I supposed to do with this? And you get to a point where you don't feel like you deserve anything other than what you have, because it's that old antidote. You made your bed, now lay in it. So, but there's so much hurt that goes along sometimes with just laying in it when you can, because you have to think about how and actually my children fueled my decision to leave because I wanted them to experience the healthy example that I had. And so if I would rather them just see me and me being happy and healthy and whole than wondering why is mama in the shower crying, like what's going on. So it was getting over the shame and embarrassment was definitely something I had to work on.
I want to commend you and Adam both because both of you said something that a lot of people. I had a conversation. I want to say this week with somebody about how a lot of people oftentimes stay for the kids. Like no matter how rough and raggedy the relationship is, people try to stay for the kids as if the kids cannot tell that something is wrong when it gets to a certain point or when they reach a certain age. Sometimes staying for the kids is doing more damage on the kids than actually leaving and having that conversation with them like, hey, listen, while mommy and daddy very much love each other, our decision has nothing to do with you. We just decided that we can probably be better for you apart than together. Staying for the kids sometimes damages the child beyond repair.
Yeah.
So I just, when people say that, I kind of cringe because it's like, kids are not crazy. Kids ain't stupid. They know a lot more than we give them credit for. So I commend both of y'all for taking a stance to be like, okay, this ain't how I want my kids to see me living and having to walk away from it.
Well, I know for me, and you're right, but one day I went to the doctor, just for regular physical or whatever, and the nurse came in, we were talking like always. She took my blood pressure and she just walked out. Like she didn't say anything. She just quietly walked down. I said, she didn't tell me what it was. She was like, it's fine today or it's a little elevated. She said nothing, just walked in. I said, okay. So a couple minutes later, she came back in with the doctor and he was like, how you doing? So I'm good. How are you? He said, you feeling bad? I said, no, I feel fine. He said, okay. He talked for me a minute. Then he checked my blood pressure again. Waited a couple minutes, checked it the third time. It was better. He said your blood pressure was like 230 over 160.
Woo, Jesus!
I'm like, what? And he said, I went the week before for them to do the lab work and everything. He said, your labs showed that everything is fine, so nothing is, it's not your diet or anything. He said, but you're carrying around something. He said, whatever it is, you need to let it go. And I thought then, same thing, stand for the kids. I said, you know what? What good am I to my kids if I'm dead?
Right, because you should have. That was stroke.
That was right, exactly. Right.
I'm surprised they let you walk out the office.
Well, after a while, they made me stay for a while, and they told me I was okay. But what happened? I was going through that a lot because I had gotten so used to just internalizing the tension, and the thing is, we got to the point we weren't even arguing because we weren't even talking. Like the last 2+ years, if we had to communicate, it was text message only. I mean, That was it. And I'm going, and I mean, being in the house like that, after a while, the tension, I'll carry it around. And I'm sure she did too. And I realized, I said, you know what? I'll be dead and my kids won't have a father. So I'm worried about being in the house with them instead of just being alive.
Nice. Yeah.
You know, so we had that conversation. And of course, they cried some and it took all that I could not to cry. Trying to be the strong dad, like, no, we're gonna be good, we're gonna be good. And on the inside, I'm like, I don't want to be without you guys, not every single day like I normally was, which I still was able to be with them every day, so we worked it out where I still saw them every day. They still spent 3 days a week with me and 4 days with her. So we worked it out. And so that whole staying for the kids thing, as you said, you're doing more harm than good. And I have a friend to this day, she's my age, very good friend of mine. And she has 2 other siblings. And she's the youngest, I believe. None of them will get married because of what they saw their parents go through. And their parents are still married. But they said, just seeing that dysfunction, here they are, 50 years old, 40, 50 years old, thinking, I don't want any parts of anybody's marriage. And again, I want my sons to grow up and be good husbands and fathers one day. And what they saw from me and their mom was not the way it was supposed to be.
So, Adam, I internalized mine presented as anxiety. Mine presented as anxiety and like real anxiety and depression, where like I had to get on some meds. So it was bad, and I always tell everybody the second breakdown was worse than the first because I had been completely vulnerable with him and told him, everything that had happened before and, all of this. And he turned around and did almost everything with a little bit more. So I literally would be at work and break out in a cold sweat and have a panic attack. And I was like, this something gotta give here. And that was even after we had separated and he decided, well, I was just trying to get your attention. I don't really want a divorce, but I was like, no, bro. Like we not gonna play like that. So you don't want to act right. I'm finna go. So for me, and mine was totally situational. I don't take anything now, but for people who need something, you take your medicine. But because I believe in a med. If you need I know I'm a nurse. If you need some medicine, you go get your medicine. You go get your help. But I just mine was like it was. And it was just took me to a dark place. Like I would call Sissy and just be crying, and we both were in our own personal hells at the time. It was rough. Let's see.
Man, it is best not to talk about your past relationship. Is it best not to talk about your past relationships with the next person? I think you should. I think you definitely should. I think
you better.
You aren't right. So you aren't repeating patterns. I mean, for me, I know I'm an open book. Yeah, I'm gonna let you know. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Because the bad things, I don't plan to venture down that road again. So let me tell you right here and now how I am, what I expect, what I accept, and what I'm not going to accept. Absolutely. I think that you should, unless if there are portions and parts of you who don't want to discuss some of the things that you went through in your previous relationship, I would almost venture to say you probably should take a little bit more time to heal. Because when you are totally healed and free from a thing, baby, you'll shout it from the mountaintop because you survived it. Simply because you survived it. So if there are portions and pieces that you are not, and I'm not saying right off, but I'm saying as things progress and there's still something that you're not really comfortable with, relaying, I would probably deal with me in that area just a little bit more before I decide to date somebody else.
For me, real quick, sharing my story, sharing what I've been through with a potential mate also enables me to see red flags much sooner and accept the flag for what it is, because I'm no longer, like, oh, we gonna see what happened. We gonna pray about that. Next. Because first I'm too old to be playing with y'all. I can't. And the way my piece is set up right now, I'm willing to do anything to maintain that. So I'm gonna tell you about it because I am free from it. I can talk about it, but if you start to exhibit that behavior, I'm gonna let the first time go, and I'm gonna be like, hey, this is a trigger for me, and this is why. And if the behavior occurs again, then my cutoff game strong.
Now,
Now,
on the flip side of something though, on the flip side of what she said, I kind of get it. Because you know how you go in and you tell somebody all of the wrong things that happened and all of the wrong things that person did, and they'll go in and then I'm not saying everybody, but you have those master manipulators who will flip everything that you've went through and try to be the complete opposite to will you in. So I guess you should just exercise wisdom with it, because there are people who are very narcissistic and will use your past against you. So I guess just you exercise wisdom, because it can't happen on either scale.
Yep, like I said, my second one used everything that I told him, and he was a totally different person after we got married than he was while we were dating. Like, because I was just like, who is this? But on the flip, you have to, because you can't just like something happened and then you go off on somebody and they don't understand why, because they don't know that they triggered something for you. So you have to share something. You don't have to go into all great detail, because like now if someone to be like, when you're talking to somebody and they be like, well, what type of person do you like? That's all a question. I just want you to be you.
That's my answer. Just be you.
Yeah. I don't want you to tell me that, because then I'll try to change to be who you want me to be instead of being who I am.
Yeah.
If I change to be who you want me to be, I can't sustain that for so long before the real me comes out. So
right.
So
that representative phase.
Representative, baby. My representative showed up and he stayed for a long time until we signed on the dotted line, and then I was clutching my pearls. And that's not what I'm not willing to do that anymore. So be you, because you just being you will show me what I need to see.
Let me ask y'all. I'm finna get in y'all business. Where y'all at now as it comes to dating? Like, are y'all in a place and space since the divorce and time has passed? How y'all feel about dating again and potentially being married again? Is that a desire of yours?
Well, for me, I'm good. I mean, I would not allow my first marriage to turn me against marriage altogether. Just because I didn't get it right the first time doesn't mean I can't be good at it. One of the things, and I'll tell people all the time, and I've had people, who've come to me and said, well, the Bible says, what God has put together, let no man put us under. Yeah, the Bible does say that, but we have to be clear that God didn't put every marriage together. Some of them we did ourselves.
We did it ourselves.
So that's number one. Keep that in mind. Secondly, there are some people who say, well, I don't want to get a divorce because I'm scared I'll go to hell. And I said, well, God doesn't want you to live in hell either. And that's what a bad marriage is. So keep all that in mind. I mean, I'm good. Now I'm happy. I'm happy. I would get married again, definitely plan to get married again. But I know better now. I know I learned from before, which I think would make me a better husband next time, would make me understand exactly what I'm getting into, and even being sure you have somebody who is good for you in all areas. And being good for you doesn't mean we agree on everything. We can still have our differences, but you're good for me and I'm good for you. And we are best together. So I'm good. I'm great, actually. I'm happy.
That was great.
Coach Jay, where you at with dating? How do you feel about dating, marrying again, love?
I was at a point in my life where I was like, I'm straight. I have a going joke that always says I was gonna get me a Loretta and skip getting married again. That was it. I was gonna find me a Loretta.
That's Noel Jones Jr. right there.
There you go. Hey, Junior, Junior,
30 years.
Junior, friends for 30 something years. She just know I love her. Amen. Keep on going. but right now, there's a lot of things that's happening right now in my life. I am in counseling and in preparation for some new things happening next year, and my pastor and first lady are in my ear. I tell people every Monday is weights and conversation with my bishop, where we go to the gym and we talk more than we lift. But it's a preparation.
You lift nothing.
Right, see, the haters. But he always asks me, like I said, he always asks me the tough questions, and he was like, sooner or later, you're going to have to get married again, because what's getting ready to happen, you're going to need a help me to get you from here to here. So while you're not engaged anybody, you need to make sure that you are working on you in the areas that you need to work on, because I can tell you right now, he was like, I see some stuff that you need to work on ASAP before this step and this step happens, minus your relationship with a woman, because there's some stuff in church that's getting ready to happen. You're like, I need you to fix this and this. Nothing bad, but I need you to tighten this stuff up, because where we're getting ready to go is going to cause a shift. So it's not just a personal shift for me as far as relationship wise, it's a personal shift as in mind, body, spirit, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, financial, and everything. I love marriage. I love the institution of marriage. I always wanted to be Claire and Heathcliff. I said that when I was 10, 11 years old, I always wanted to Claire. Like I just always wanted to Claire. So I'm still hopeful, and I know that God has a Claire for me. Don't know what she will be working at. She might not be a lawyer, but I know he has a Claire for me, and I am patiently waiting and preparing myself for that day.
Sissy?
Baby, you already know I'm a my husband y'all to death. I'm a my husband y'all. I'll be like,
I don't even know why you even asked her that question, because she's already said that in previous podcasts. Oh my God, when I get married again, I'm gonna be like my baby this, my husband this. I'm like,
my husband,
You better praise that man, girl. What?
I'm gonna be like,
Okay.
When the ring, I'm gonna be like, oh,
Okay.
everything gonna itch with that hand. I just gotta
with this thing, I'm be like, oh, I'm a little parched.
I'm a little pop.
I'm like, hey girl.
Oh,
I'm like, hey girl. Yeah, I want my husband y'all to dance. I have done a lot of work on me. A lot of work. Because it's always two-sided. Everybody kind of can perpetuate the issue, but yes, Lord, send the husband.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm somebody's wife. I don't know where he is. I don't know who he is, but I'm that man's wife, and I have decided, because I was a little biased at one point, but I have decided that I'm in love with love, and I got some kinks that I've had to work out. I had to work through some things, but I don't know. I think I'm good now. I think I'm
in love with love too. I'm in love.
I'm a hopeless romantic. All that mushy gushy stuff. I love it.
Me too.
It's like that's what God created us to do, to love. And if you don't love, I'm like, where you been? Like where you at personally with you? Because I always tell people, if you can't love you, there's nowhere on God's earth you're going to be able to love another person wholeheartedly. So I'm learning how to love me more, because at one point in time, I had an issue with loving me. So I tell anybody that's listening to us, man, before y'all jump back out there, ask yourself, are you giving yourself the 5 love languages that you own? Because if you can't give it to yourself, how can you teach anybody else to give it to you?
Right.
Yeah.
You are the directions to your life, so you got to tell somebody how to do it correctly.
Yeah, give yourself permission to be loved unconditionally. I said that to my little sister last night. Sometimes previous situations kind of make us look at ourselves, and it may even make us feel like we may not be worthy of the type of love that we desire. But just because that one particular or two particular situations did not work out for you, I think, like Adam said, like sometimes it's us choosing it and it's not God. But when it's that person that God has for you, baby, ain't nothing like it. I suppose. I'm saying I suppose. I don't know, but
I think it is. But before we go to answer Victoria's question real quick, I think Jay is currently in counseling. Adam, did you go to counseling after the divorce?
I did for a couple sessions actually.
Okay.
And I didn't think I needed to at first.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I needed help kind of working through the shame because again, especially in my line of work, I mean, as a pastor, people come to you all the time for stuff, and I'm kind of going, how can I help them? And I couldn't help me, and so I had to kind of work through my shame. Somebody suggested I do that, and I kind of brushed it off a couple times, but eventually I did, and it helped me a lot. So yeah, I did it, and it was a great help. And for me, my counseling was not so much to deal with the loss of the marriage, because the moment we separated, there was a sense of relief, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. All of the feelings you go through, like
right. Hey,
I went through that when we were still in the house because the counselor told us, she said, you all were living in the same house, but you really separated a couple years ago. And I went, you know what, you're exactly right. So all of the feelings people first feel when they separate, for me, that was not the issue. It was a sense of relief and peace that there wasn't tension in the house anymore. Yeah, it was just dealing with the again this embarrassment and shame. I needed help with that. And again, I have no ill will towards my ex-wife. It wasn't, we and again, don't get me wrong, we first separated, it was not peaceful at all. I mean, the divorce was very smooth, because we agreed on everything. There was no real challenge. That was fine. But it was just, we still didn't necessarily, we had a lot of anger towards each other. We're still not necessarily friends now, but we can be cordial, which is a big step from where it was a few years ago, 5-6 years ago. So I did do it, but for me, it was more so just to help get over the embarrassment.
My best friend told me I needed to go because she was like, honey, you need to go. I said, no, I don't. She said, honey, trust me, you need to go, because I was so guarded and so quick to jump down somebody's throat when they kind of talked to me about where I was at mentally, physically, and emotionally and stuff. And I always had my guards up, not willing to hear what honestly, because they were on the outside looking in, and I'm thinking I'm fine and okay. And they're like, no, you're not. And it wasn't until I said, you know what, let me go see what they're talking about. And then having to hear somebody that you trust say, hey, they ain't lying, because I saw you do X, Y, and Z, or I heard the way you said X, Y, and Z, or I see your demeanor when such and such walk by, or when people start talking about this, that, and the other, you're so quick to catch an offense. So I was like, okay, I need to go talk to somebody. And I think we all need to, like Adam said, to debrief and kind of, get that shame off you and say, hey, there was a split in what was going on with us. Let me find out what was wrong with me and let me fix that part. Because I can't fix my mate, but I need to fix me for me. Because I have 2 boys and my sons asked me what happened. And I got young ones. At the time, they were like 6 and 7. So they're like, Daddy, but we miss her. But Daddy, you remember all the fun times we had? And I'm like, holding back tears, like, how do I be a father and a man figure for them if I'm still broken and bitter about what happened? So I needed to honestly get past that part. And when they say something about the past or say something about what happened between them, my youngest son still acts like, Daddy, you need a wife. I was like, why? Because you need somebody to take care of you. Me and my brother really think that somebody needs to be there to take care of you because you're getting old, Daddy. I said, oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, okay, son.
I mean, you are
this. They told the truth. They ain't tell not one thing.
Adam, may the Lord watch between me and them. Because Adam, they was like, boom, boom,
They pounced on that one, didn't they?
real quick.
That's
But no,
what we do.
you ain't lying. I think everybody needs to have a sounding board to get that gook from you and stuff. You need somebody like, hey, where did I go wrong? Like, was I really that bad? And then you have to have somebody honestly be like, yeah, you was. You were wrong for X, Y, and Z. Had you thought about it better, you probably would have did this, and that differently. But you were so this, and this that your reaction had to be this, and this. So you have to want to be better, and you have to want to seek godly counsel. To be open and honest for you to honestly heal and to be able to successfully move on. Because we can all move on, but will it be successful?
I didn't go through like counseling per se, but I did seek wise counsel. And my situation was different. My last situation, because like it wasn't a divorce, like he passed. So I had to work through some other emotions, some things that I never had a chance to deal with him on, and still try to figure out how to pick up the pieces and move on.
Baby, put him on now. Tell Santa Claus to put him underneath your tree.
So no, I didn't have like actual counseling, but I had my sister that I could call on my tough days. And like you have to have people, like Jonathan said, around you that are willing to be honest with you. Because y'all, if y'all heard some of our conversations, y'all would probably like, how are they even friends? Because we get real we get real honest with each other. Like,
it'd be rough some days. We just be like, you know what, bye. I don't even want to talk anymore.
But you're gonna be all right. Call me when you get out your feelings, but I meant what I said. Like you really, if you're not in a position where you can actually go to counseling, at least seek wise counsel from the people that you love and that love you enough to tell you the truth.
Yeah, Victoria, I didn't go to a counselor's office, but my dad is a retired pastor, but also holds degrees in psychology and counseling. So every day going in the house was like a mini counseling session. He is not one to let you sit in anything because he'll ask you da 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 da. Why you feel about da 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 and da da da. You don't want to talk about it. Da 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 da. So until you get it out,
that's where you got that from.
Yeah. So I grew up with that. So yeah, baby, we're not gonna sit in nothing. And Katrina, baby, my son told me to go on Black People Meet. Cause like, and he in the back told me something I did. So and between my dad and my mom, it was my mom was more subtle. She would just sit down and she would ask me, "You okay? You want to talk about it? Your daddy and I are here." So while I didn't go to what you would say like a formal counselor, I would say that I saw wise counseling. And let's see, Miranda agrees counseling is needed after divorce just to deal with let me pull it up here. Less shame and embarrassment. Also take inventory of your life and heal to prepare for your next relationship. Because yes, baby, we getting in new relationships.
We is.
Because what I told you, I'm a what? Husband y'all to death.
Babe, I'm somebody's whole wife. You hear me?
I'm like, oh, my husband.
Let me talk to my husband. Let me ask my husband.
Be like, oh, y'all come, let me ask my husband. Let me see. Oh, husband said we have something else to do.
Hey, Adam, he ain't even gonna have a name. His name is gonna be husband.
His name is
husband. You say I'm staying on mute, right?
His name is. Be like, girl, what's your husband's name?
Husband. Y'all are silly.
Look, you just call him Mr. Husband. Ebony Husband. That's what you got.
Ebony Husband. Man ain't got no name. He is not independent at all. What's his name? Ebony Husband.
Ebony Husband.
Brother Husband. That's his name to you. Brother Husband. We in the church. Brother Husband.
Brother Husband. You see him?
Y'all
Did you see him?
Well, all right. We thank y'all for coming on tonight. We don't want to keep you on too long. This has been You, Me, and the Trinity's Christ Connections and Conversations.
And before we go,
How
I
you
want
introduce
everybody because I know you about to cut because I know you quick draw McGraw. You would hit that button real quick. We like, hey, hey, God. Because she did that one show, man. That part was so funny. We
I was on that show. I was
hey, we were still talking. It was like, I was like, hey, what happened? Everybody's connection messed up. But no, for everybody that's listening to us, man, if we can all because we all are healed and are still healing, can we all give the people that's listening to us one good advice about after the divorce? What should they be doing? I think that we all have great knowledge, great words of wisdom to give people, and people will listen to us. Surprisingly, they listen to us. So, Coach E, if you have words of wisdom.
My words are do your work. Identify what is broken or what may be a little damaged or a little torn. And really work towards inner healing before you jump into another relationship. I mean, we all are going to be wounded. We're all going to bleed a little bit, but you have to work to heal yourself so that you do not task the next person that you get into a relationship with making up for what somebody else did. So we have to heal so we don't hold somebody else accountable for somebody else's transgressions. So heal thyself.
I would agree. Mine is a parallel. It's something that I always say. She probably knows what I'm getting ready to say, but feel, deal, and heal. It's okay to feel the effects of that relationship and what it did to you. While you're feeling, deal with it. Deal with every emotion that comes along with it, the hurt, the pain, all of it. Deal with that and then heal from it and free yourself. Free yourself because although things happen to you in life, although things happen in your past, although there were mistakes, you are not your mistakes. You don't have to stay seated in sour places. Heal, be free, forgive. That's the main thing.
Forgive yourself.
Forgive yourself and forgive them, and be free. Adam,
I don't know that I have. I think it's all case by case because all divorces, marriage is in for different reasons. So, I would say just take your time and know that there is life after divorce.
It is.
You don't see it when you're going through it, but there is life. There's happiness. There's joy. There is restoration after divorce. You got to go through it to get to it. But
come on.
But understand that on the other side of it, there is life after divorce.
It is.
And in many cases, life more abundantly if you live right.
Hey, come on.
Y'all a trip.
tie my shoe, and my bow tie. Shoot, what? I'm about to run around this table. No, I will say this. One of my favorite quotes, and I quote it a lot. This above all, to thine own self be true. Please be honest with yourself about where you are. Please be honest to yourself about where you're trying to go, and then do the work to get from point A to point B. Whether that's counseling, whether that's wise counseling, whether that's going to the gym and working it out while listening to your 90s mixtape. Whatever your healing process is, I ask you to go through that process from beginning to end and do not skip a part. My best friend always told me, she says, honey, it's not going to look good. It's not going to be pretty, but it's worth it. You're going to have some good days. You're going to have some good days. You're going to have some bad days. You're going to have some days you want to cry. I had days where I wanted to end it. I was at the bridge and over the overpass, about to just jump because I wanted to end it all. But God said not so. There's a path that I have for you. So I just want everybody to just be open and honest to themselves, about themselves, and seek the healing that you deserve. Okay, now press the red button.
Thank you, Adam, for joining us.
Yes, thank
No,
you.
thank you all for having me.
Appreciate
I
you. Much
enjoyed it.
love to you.
Yes, Reverend. Yes, Reverend. We gotta have
It's
you again,
Adam.
sir.
It's
Yeah,
Adam.
Oh, sorry.
I'll be
Yeah,
ready when I
Adam.
go to my office in the morning, but right now I'm just Adam.
Oh, okay.
Everyone, like, comment, and share. If you haven't, we'd appreciate it greatly. And yes, yeah, y'all know what?
Thank y'all for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, because I
Appreciate
don't have no
y'all.
words for Coach J Hart. We
Y'all have
love
a
you
blessed
all.
week.
Yes. Come back next Sunday. We're gonna have something for you. Yeah.
We don't know what yet, but
We don't know
gonna
what. We'll find out probably around Wednesday.
God bless y'all. Y'all have a great
Thank
night.
y'all. Good night.